Thank you for joining the Scholar Trek panel on colleges that change lives. We have 4 wonderful colleges participating with us today. We have, well, I was trying to change the screen. We have Agnes Scott with us. We have Birmingham Southern College, we have Center College, and we have Eckerd College. Each one of these colleges has earned the CTCL distinction because of the unique and far-reaching academic programs and opportunities that they offer on each of their campuses. We are thrilled that you're with us today, and thank you for sharing this information with our students. Viewers, following this panel, we highly encourage you to visit each of the college's virtual booths on Basecamp to learn more about their schools and get connected with their programs. And with that, we will get started. All right. I would like to ask each of you, if you would please, to introduce yourself and maybe share one fun fact about your institution that sets you apart from the others. And today we'll start with Agnes Scott.
Sounds good. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Anna Platt. I am the Associate Director of Admission and Campus Visit Coordinator at Agnes Scott College, located in Decatur, Georgia. One fun fact about us is that we are an inclusive women's college, and we have something called Summit, which is our take on the liberal arts and sciences. It has global learning, leadership development, and professional success kind of ingrained into every student's experience.
Great, thank you. Birmingham Southern.
Hi, my name is Amanda Hardy. I'm the Director of Admission here at Birmingham Southern College. I think that one fun thing about our school is our tie-in with Birmingham. It's more than just part of our name, but it's part of who we are. Our location, I think, really does help to make the students' experience here, their 4 years, it enhances their experience completely. So I think that's a little bit of what makes Birmingham Southern fun.
Great, thank you very much. Now let's go to Center College.
Hello, everyone. My name is Clay Taylor, and I'm a Senior Assistant Director of Diversity Recruitment at Center College. And something that sets us apart from other liberal arts and sciences colleges is that we're located in Danville, Kentucky. It's the birthplace of Kentucky. The first Constitution of Kentucky was signed in our downtown. So a lot of history. We've been around since 1819, so we've been around for quite a while. So a lot of great history that happens on our campus, and we're only getting better as we continue on. So.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny Connor, and I'm the Assistant Director of Admission here at Eckerd College in St. Petersburg, Florida. A couple unique things about us: we are right on the water, and so we do have an on-campus beach, which is pretty cool. But what a lot of students find us for is because we are pet friendly. So we have dogs, cats, reptiles, birds that live in our residence halls with our students, and they have their own commencement ceremony at the end of their 4 years with us as well.
Okay, I love that. That's awesome. All right. Oops, sorry, we're going the wrong way. Okay, so can each of you share with us what a liberal arts education looks like on your campus? And we'll start with Birmingham Southern.
Great. I think that a liberal arts education on the Birmingham Southern campus looks unique, and definitely through our explorations curriculum gives you that liberal arts feeling, right? So when you are thinking about college and what you're going to major in and those general education courses you need to take, at Birmingham Southern, we have what we call an explorations curriculum because we want you to explore the different opportunities before you have to choose your major or before you commit to that major. And so we have kind of 5 different categories that we list, right? So I kind of describe them as, ways for students to kind of check off those boxes by the time they're done. So we want to make sure that you have effective communication skills, creative problem solving, civic engagement, ability to connect ideas across disciplines, and self-directed teaching and learning. So that kind of sets the tone for what the liberal arts is looking like at Birmingham Southern. So for example, creative problem solving, you're going to be taking some of those math, some of those science courses in there, right? Instead of saying you have to take X number of science classes before you graduate. We are kind of putting it in a different landscape for you. So kind of start with that thinking outside the box mentality that I think is really what's going to define your liberal arts education at Birmingham Southern.
Great, thank you very much. Let's go to Center.
Yeah, so liberal arts education at Center, I think the joy of any liberal arts education that you truly do get to craft your experience. So at Center, we have a deferred major declarement, so you don't decide on a major until your sophomore spring semester. So you have a lot of time to truly get your feet wet in intro classes, get your general education classes rolling, and make a solidified decision. And students will have at least 2 advisors to help them on that journey, and which is super helpful in and of itself. And if they find themselves in the pre-professional program, so let's say pre-med, pre-law, pre-MBA, pre-veterinary, really pre-anything, a student will end up having a 3rd advisor to help them to that ultimate journey as well. So we've had a history majors gone to med school, we've had econ and finance majors gone to dentistry schools. So when I say truly get the craft that you really do. And at Center, we have the Center commitment. So students are going to be guaranteed an opportunity to have an internship or research opportunity as many times as they'd like to, wherever they'd like to. Because they can also do that where they're studying abroad. That's another guaranteed opportunity at Center. We can study abroad as many times as we'd like to, and we can accomplish everything that they have to offer. So internship, research opportunity, study abroad, all within a 4-year time frame towards your career path or a secondary institution. And if none of that happens, then it's a college's fault. Students will get a 5th-year tuition free. We have not seen that happen yet, knock on wood, but and the chances that it does, you will get that 5th year to accomplish everything that we have to offer, because we ultimately want our students to become global citizens. So it starts on our campus and expands out into every activity that they find themselves in.
That's great. Thank you. Eckerd College.
I would reiterate what my colleagues at the other 2 schools said so far. There is a lot of opportunity to kind of craft your education at Eckerd. We really allow students autonomy in that regard. So our general education classes here at Eckerd, we call them perspectives. So there's a writing perspective, environmental arts perspective, language, and there's a lot of different ways that you can fulfill those to best suit the student and what they're hoping to achieve here at Eckerd. So, you know, if you don't want to just take a on-campus world language class, you can fulfill your language requirements by studying abroad, or maybe taking a specific class within the environmental studies program that you like versus, you know, the one that's suggested. So we really let them craft that with their faculty mentor so that they're getting the most out of their education while also making sure that it is diverse across the fields of subjects.
Great. Thank you very much. Agnes Scott.
Yeah, thank you. So I mentioned in my introduction that we have something called Summit at Agnes Scott. And Summit is basically our take on liberal arts education. So in addition to taking classes across all disciplines, our students will dive deep into leadership development, global learning, and professional success. So of course, developing the whole student. I know Clay mentioned global citizens. That's really something that's big at Agnes Scott. We want our students to be global citizens, citizens of the world. One way that we do that is all of our first year students go on a 7 to 9 day trip during the spring semester of their first year. So getting out into the world, exploring different areas, and then making sure they're becoming leaders in whatever field they're going into. So that's kind of like our take on the liberal arts, our lens, as we say, on the liberal arts education.
Thank you. What are some of the advantages of a liberal arts education? And we'll start with Center this time.
Yeah, so I think the advantage of a liberal arts education is that you are going to be on a campus where people care about you. The size is as overwhelming as your typical larger in-state university, and the people there are going to be there for the betterment of you through the entire 4 years onwards after you graduate. So I think building those connections on a liberal arts campus is something that's super, super advantaging and can really set students apart from the beaten path that you may find yourself on.
Great. Thank you very much. Eckerd?
Yeah, I would also say that at Eckerd, and I would think most CTCLs, we are teaching our students to be global citizens. And when, college was kind of designed, a lot of people would enter a job field and stay in that field for their entire career. And that's really just not the case in today's day and age. And so we want our students to have transferable skills. So yes, you might major in, say, psychology or biology or something else, but that's no guarantee you're going to stay in that field. And so by having skills like critical thinking, being an excellent writer, a good communicator and collaborator, which is what the liberal arts teaches you, you're going to be able to change jobs if you want to, or be successful in one field if that's your goal. But likelihood is you'll change your mind at some point during your life and move into a new career path, and we want you to be successful in that.
Great, thank you. We'll go to Agnes Scott now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. A lot of people say these students that are in college now are being prepared for jobs that haven't even been invented yet. I don't know if y'all have heard that. So I think that's definitely one advantage, is making sure they have those leadership skills, they have those writing skills to be successful in whatever field, even ones that haven't been invented yet. So I would say that. I would also just say, of course, we all have small class sizes and so professors that really support our students. As somebody who didn't attend a liberal arts college, I think that is really important and a huge advantage, because they really get really deep support at these liberal arts institutions that carry with them even after they graduate.
Great, thank you very much. And now we'll hear from Birmingham Southern.
Great. Well, I would agree with what all of my colleagues have mentioned as far as advantages of a liberal arts education. And I think I would just add to that something that my vice president can be heard saying. He talks about how liberal arts education can give you that opportunity to learn a little bit differently than when you're learning, at a more focused school, right? So he talks about, you can be an engineering major at a liberal arts school, and you might be the type that, right, using those leadership skills that we spoke of, are going to get you places, because you're not just thinking, okay, how do we build the bridge here? But let's take a look. Do we actually need a tunnel, right? And so those are the kinds of things and ideas that are being brought up in the liberal arts classroom. So I think that's what I would add in addition to what my colleagues mentioned.
All right, that's great. Thank you. Let's go. So how does your college prepare students in academic areas that traditionally fall into a professional education, or something I would say is a more focused education, like business or nursing or other pre-professional tracks? And for this round, we'll start with Eckerd.
So Eckerd has several pre-professional tracks already built in. So pre-health, pre-law, and a lot of other ones as well. So with that, we have an additional mentor to help those students. So they have their mentor for their major, and then they'll be assigned an additional mentor to prepare them for, because most of those instances you're thinking about going on to graduate school. So how and when do you start studying for entrance exams? What graduate programs should you be looking at? What's the right fit? And then also, if you're not in a major that might be, obviously similar to the program you're thinking about entering, what other classes should you be taking? So at Eckerd, you could be an arts major and be on the pre-health track and go on to a medical school. So obviously our visual arts program doesn't require things like organic chemistry or anatomy and physiology. So those students still need those classes to go on to a medical program. But also, since we are an undergraduate only institution, there's a lot of opportunities for students that might at other schools be reserved for master's or PhD level students. So things like research, practicum experience, and a lot of collaborative work with faculty members. So they really have a lot to add to their resume when they're applying to graduate programs.
That's great. Thank you. Let's go to Agnes Scott.
Yeah, so specifically for us, in terms of going into the health field with those professional programs, we do have pre-health as a track. New this year, we're actually kind of tweaking that a little bit. So the first 2 years will really be, students will be exploring that health field. A lot of students, as we know, come in wanting to be pre-med, and maybe they haven't exactly thought about, do you want to, do neuroscience, or maybe it's more like the biology, medical sciences. So they don't really know maybe what exactly concentration they want to go down. So the first 2 years will be dedicated to exploring. So they'll shadow a doctor. They'll, have internships, all of that. And then the next 2 years will be achievement. So making sure they're taking those prereqs they need to apply to med school if that's where they want to go, doing more internships, research, all of those opportunities. So we have a combination of that explore and achievement specifically for those pre-health tracks. I would say business, for us, we're in Atlanta, so it's a great place for those business internships. We have something called Bridge to Business, which is a summer boot camp with Georgia Tech that our students can do, that focuses on entrepreneurship and building their own business. So lots of great opportunities with our location specifically.
All right, thank you. We'll go to Birmingham Southern now.
Awesome. I would say that some of these majors, business, nursing, pre-law, pre-health, those are actually some of our most popular majors here at Birmingham Southern. So even though you don't necessarily think of them as being the liberal arts, they're definitely what are being offered here at Birmingham Southern. So similar to what some of my other colleagues were mentioning, we have additional advising available for students, different student groups for students to get some leadership opportunities in. Also, being in the city of Birmingham, certainly opportunities for those business internships, shadowing. We've got a couple of hospitals here in the city, as well as a number of law firms. So a lot of alum definitely are part of the network here that are helping these students that are looking to go on to graduate school or something like that. That's another layer of what's being offered here to prepare these students.
Thank you very much. We'll go to Center now.
Yeah, so I believe I mentioned earlier that with any of our pre-professional programs, we have an advisor that can tag on as an additional third advisor to help you on your overall journey. So they can get you into those prerequisite classes needed for the secondary institution, seek those additional internship or research opportunities, get that letter of recommendation, the application, and hopefully an acceptance to that secondary institution. So that whole nother level of advising is super helpful that we offer our students. And really the curriculum that we offer, it truly doesn't matter if you're a dramatic arts major or a chemistry major. All of our students are going to be taught critical thinking skills, problem solving, and analytical thinking that's working into everyone's curriculum. And there's also a lot of interdisciplinary cross sections as well. So you may find yourself in a business class, but you may also be taking some film studies classes as well. So 2 completely different realms, but it's helpful for postgraduate life because it showcases you're going to become an adaptable thinker and in turn become an adaptable professional. So there's a lot of intricate pieces that really create this experience for you to truly be successful after you graduate. And we have our career services are expanding, starting to create some career exploration communities so students can dive into those different sectors and see if they want to explore in there, seek those internship research opportunities, get in contact with our alum, as our colleague Amanda said, for Birmingham Southern. So our alumni network is one of the best in the country. We actually label ourselves a Center Mafia, solely because we are such a big family, and we want to ensure that every student who sets foot on this campus has at least one point of contact to get in touch with as they're trying to carve out their career paths. So there's a ton of involvements, ton of opportunities for students to truly take advantage of and again craft their experience. I think that's something that we've all said, like crafting your experience is something that any liberal arts and sciences college can really get you.
That's great. Thank you all for that information. So now if we could talk a little bit about what does the application process look like at your university? Are there specific academic and test score requirements that you have? I'm going to start with Agnes Scott here.
Definitely, thank you. So I'm sure like most of us, we have a holistic review process. So we look at every single piece of the application, from, the essay, the activity section, the teacher rec, counselor rec, all of that. We are test optional, so we do not require test scores. We do have kind of ranges for our test scores, but it is totally up to a student whether they want to submit those or not. And we do allow students to self-report those test scores. We don't have like a minimum GPA or anything like that. Our average GPA is a 3.76 weighted. Our first deadline is tomorrow. I don't know if y'all share the November 15th deadline. So we have early action 1, early action 2 is coming up January 15th, and we have a regular decision March 15th. So it's exciting time, I'm sure, for all of you right now as well.
All right, let's go to Birmingham Southern.
Great, thank you. Yes, similarly, we have a opportunity for students to apply test optionally. We have our standard application requirements, which would be, sending us the high school transcript and SAT or ACT scores. Again, we do accept, similarly to Agnes Scott, self-reported. And then, we encourage students to also include an essay, an academic letter of recommendation, and occasionally we'll do an interview. But we also completely will review a test optional candidate. So we're going to be looking at the high school transcript. We're also going to require an essay for that as well. And then may look at an academic letter of recommendation or an interview. So we are part of the common application. We have our BSc online application, which is always free for students. And we're also part of the coalition application on SCORE. So 3 different ways to find us. We have early decision deadline, which is November 1st. And then tomorrow, November 15th is our early action. And then our regular decision deadline is February 1st. And then I always want to make sure students know that our special scholarship application is also February 1st. So try not to layer those due dates on top of each other and spread it out, right?
Great, thank you. Let's go to Center College now.
Yeah, so we are Common App exclusive as well. So if you applying to Center College, you go to the Common App website and select Center College, and really anywhere else you're applying to, fill out the application from there. Just like Agnes Scott and Birmingham Southern, I'm sure Eckerd as well, we're all holistic reviews. So definitely want to know what those primary commitments are outside the classroom, whether they be extracurricular activities, if you have a job, any family duties, if you play sports, service, leadership, we really want to know everything. We're going to see how well you challenge yourself in the high school realm as well. And if you get sick or if anything else happen, we'll definitely take that into consideration as well. And then of course, most importantly, we generally want to know who you are as a person. So that's where the essay comes into play, recommendations. If you do interview with an admission counselor, a center representative in and of itself, that'll all be taken into play. So, and we're test optional as well, if you can imagine. We're hoping to stay test optional for at least the next 2 cycles, but it's a do no harm policy. So submitting a test score will really help your application. If we find that it doesn't, we will kindly tell you there's no action on your end. We have a whole different set of guidelines to ensure that your absolute best foot is put forward. So we super score as well. If you do sit in test scores, we take both ACT and SAT. Mid-range is between a 26 and 32, and SAT equivalent, and then mid-range GPAs are 3.5. But again, it's a holistic review, so we truly want to know who you are as a person to decide if center is going to be a best benefit for you or not. So it's that we're definitely always going to ensure that your best foot is put forward.
Thank you very much. And Eckerd, let's hear from you.
Yeah, similar to my colleagues, we are also holistic review, of course. So with that, we don't have a minimum GPA or test score, but we do like to stay near our averages. So average GPA is a 3.6 unweighted. Average test scores for students who choose to submit them are 26 ACT or 1200 SAT. For this year, we are test optional. We don't know if we will continue to be next year, but hopefully we'll find that out in the next couple of months as well. We are on the Common App as well as the Eckerd College app. And similar to everyone else, our early action deadline is November 15th, so tomorrow, and then we will move into rolling admission. But anyone who applies before December 1st will also waive the application fee. So after that, it's $50, but you still got a couple weeks to get in under the free option as well.
All right, thank you very much. So let's go back to some of the things that you offer on your campus, and we'll talk about what type of resources that are available to help with academic success. And I think I'm going to start this round with Birmingham Southern.
Right. At Birmingham Southern, we have our Academic Resource Center, which is available for students to come and find their academic success. So that would be on top of opportunities to meet with faculty during office hours, of course. Certainly find students are meeting with professors as often as they can. But students will go to the Academic Resource Center for tutoring. And what I have found here on this campus is that pretty much everyone goes to tutoring. So it's not just, oh, it's almost the end of the semester and I'm behind, I need extra help. But kind of from the beginning, our students are looking to make sure that they're, a step ahead and doing the best they can. So tutoring available through that Academic Resource Center. And then of course, students have the opportunity to become tutors and kind of help their peers as well if they've done well in those classes. And so the Academic Resource Center is found through our library and, gives students that quiet setting for getting the academic success that they need.
Great, thank you. Let's go to Center.
Nice. So in addition to your professors, so at Center, you're never going to be taught by a graduate assistant or a teacher's assistant. All of our professors at the highest of their degree, ready to pass that knowledge on to their students. So I think during the first day of classes, they're going to post our office hours as kind of a given. But being the community that we're in, a lot of our professors go an extra step to provide their address because they live super close to campus, or even just give you their cell phone number just for quicker accessibility. So you truly do get to build that relationship with your professors initially. But we also just added a learning commons to our library. So it's set up so that students aren't nervous to ask for help. It's actually encouraging students to ask for help, whether it be study habits, time management, if you need accommodations, like it's all going to be at one central location so you can seek that additional help. And our director of the learning commons, his name is Dr. Brian Casado. And in addition, he's also a professor of behavioral neuroscience. So he's a great resource in and of himself, but you can meet with him individually and he can truly map out what the semester will look like for you, and maybe even the whole academic year, as far as getting you a study table room, getting you a tutor, reaching out to your professors for any accommodations. So there's a ton of resources for students to pick themselves back up if they find themselves slipping. And I'm a product of that myself. I'm a Center grad, and sophomore year really got me, but the resources have gotten a lot better since even I've graduated. So it's truly set up for students to really get the academic success no matter who they're talking to or who they're speaking with. And even your peers can be helping you along that journey as well.
All right, thank you very much. Let's go to Eckerd.
So I think the foundation for academic success at Eckerd is really our autumn term program. So our first year students arrive on campus 3 weeks before the rest of our student population, and they take one class for 3 weeks. So it really helps them transition emotionally, socially, and academically from high school to college. 80% of our student population is from outside the state of Florida, and the average student is from 1,000 miles away. So it also really just helps them feel comfortable with us before they're doing a full academic course load. They see what it takes to be successful here at Eckerd, and then they also go through course registration. Similar to everyone else, we also have something called the Center for Academic Excellence, with things like success coaches, tutoring available, and all sorts of resources, including accommodations for students who might need them as well. And then we also have in our library, each student is assigned a librarian based on their major. So someone who understands like research and studying, the type of papers and things like that in any academic area. So that's really helpful for our students to go to them and say, like, I need help finding this source, or I don't know how to cite this, and their librarian can help them out.
That's great. Thank you. And Agnes Scott.
So our students get 4 advisors over the course of their 4 years. I'll break down each of these for y'all. The first one is a summit advisor. This is pretty much your typical academic advisor. They meet with students the summer before they come to campus. So that is their point person for pretty much anything throughout their 4 years. So they meet with that person on a regular basis. They also have access to peer advising. So they meet with peer advisors their first semester at Agnes Scott. And then after that, when they declare their major their sophomore year, they add on a faculty advisor. And then they also have access to career coaches that are specifically part of our career communities here at Agnes Scott. The summit advisors, similar to, I guess, maybe the 3 weeks before you come to campus for Eckerd, we have a class called Summit 110 that our students take. They take this their first semester, and it's taught by a summit advisor, and it basically is what is the liberal arts education and how do you make the most of it. So this is a great way for students to kind of transition from that high school to college academics. Probably college is a lot harder than they had their high school classes. And so we're helping our students make the most out of that and figure out what are their study habits, what are time management goals, how do you create a resume, cover letter, all of that stuff that students get to do their very first semester. So that is just one example of the way we support our students.
That's great. Thank you very much. All right. So what type of resources for experiential learning are available to students on your campus? And we'll start with Center this time.
Yes, so the center commitment truly opens these doors for our students to dive into any really experiential learning that they can find themselves in. So students, we've had first-year students actually live on campus prior to their first semester, conducting research with professors, which in turn you end up becoming published with them as well. So the connections can actually start before you get on campus. So we have an established office called the Center for Career and Professional Development, and they're expanding into themselves. I mentioned the career exploration communities earlier. Each one of them are going to be championed by 2 faculty members, and then in connection with our alumni and previous businesses and partners we've been working with in the past. So they're specifically labeled exploration communities because if a student finds themselves in one, it's really not working to their benefit, pull themselves up and dive into another one. So again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but you truly are crafting your experience. And then just with our study abroad opportunities too, you can start that as soon as you enter your sophomore year at Center. And if you don't already have a passport, we offer a free one to get that journey started for you. So students that find themselves in England, France, Germany, Spain, Japan, China, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Mexico, Bhutan, Ghana, I can go on and on with these lists. And our record right now for study abroad is 7 times. So there's a student who didn't step foot on campus at one point. She was just going from country to country. I will say it does help that she's an international studies major, but I think that also affects how easy it is and be involved with their programs. So it does not hurt to study abroad. That's what we encourage it. Any credits that you take abroad will come back to Center towards your graduation goals. So, and then we have an initiative right downtown Danville. It's right above our bookstore called CenterWorks. It's for students to kind of open up that entrepreneurial mindset, not necessarily to become an entrepreneur, but just get used to getting in those fields and speaking the language and truly helping businesses and partners thrive in the community. So it's an 8-county regional session. So people from all over come into CenterWorks just to seek that additional help, and students can do that too. We've actually had students create their own business out of this opportunity. So there's a ton of opportunities for students to find themselves in for experiential learning.
That's great. Thank you. Let's go to Eckerd.
Yeah, similar to what Clay was saying, there's a ton of opportunities for hands-on learning. So things like research are really common here at Eckerd. And there's also a lot of collaborative work happening with other organizations, both in the city and at other colleges around St. Petersburg. So other research opportunities there. We also have a lot of students doing internships both here at Eckerd and then also doing like study away type of things as well. And then something else that is required of all Eckerd student is called reflective service learning. So RSL hours are required of every student, and so they have to do a certain number each year in order to graduate. These can be completed on campus, but we really encourage students to do them off campus. So it's basically being involved in a community organization or something like that as well. We have office on campus to help students find those opportunities, but it's just another way to incorporate them into the St. Petersburg community and exposing them to, maybe a local business or a community organization that they might not have experienced, otherwise.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Agnes Scott.
I will probably also sound like a broken record talking about Summit, but two parts of Summit that all of our students get to do are their Global Journeys trip and something called Scale. So first, every single student will take a global learning course, their second semester of their first year. This course focuses on a part of the world and a theme within that part of the world. So for example, we've had students focus on the Galapagos Islands. We've had students focus on Iceland, gender equality in Iceland. We had a class focusing on Peru and the coffee industry in Peru. And so halfway through that semester, they go to that destination on a 7 to 10 day trip. So that is very much experiential learning. All of those students have that like mini study abroad, which definitely excites them to do more traditional study abroad for maybe a whole semester or a year. So that is one thing. The other is Scale, which is our sophomore class Atlanta Leadership Experience. So that is part of our sophomore year. All of those students, while all of our first years are on their study abroad trip, all of our sophomores have a week-long externship in the Atlanta area. So they're teamed up with either a nonprofit organization or a Fortune 500 company to work there on a project for that 1 week. So those are just two examples of experiential learning opportunities that every single student will participate in.
All right. And now let's go to Birmingham Southern. We'll wrap it
Great.
up.
So at Birmingham Southern, we have the Krulak Institute for Leadership, which is kind of almost like, if you will, a one-stop shop for these opportunities for students. Community service, student organizations, internships are all a part of this office, this location for students kind of get started there. But we definitely have study abroad opportunities. And I think a big component of the experiential learning piece at Birmingham Southern is our e-term, which is during the 4 weeks of January. And students are required to take 2 e-term classes before they graduate. So usually students will do their first year and then their second year and leave third and fourth year for doing internships because it really is the full month of January, which is a good chunk of time there. But the e-term classes are short for explorations, and it's really designed to not be what your intended major is. So we really want to encourage students to choose one of these classes that sounds interesting to them, right? Something that's maybe not necessarily a business class if they want to be a business major, right? And a lot of these classes during the 5 weeks of January will travel. Some of them travel abroad, some of them travel domestically. A couple of trips to Europe are planned for this year. In past years, students have gone to the Galapagos Islands. And then some of these classes are local. And so one that I'm still trying to get into, I don't know, there's something about not being a student. There is a course that's taught about Southern cuisine, and right, Clay? I know I'm trying to get involved. But Southern cuisine, and you get to go to the professor's home and cook in her kitchen. So really kind of that hands-on, but studying the history of it as well. So a lot of that opportunity with experiential learning takes place during that e-term. Again, a requirement for students to take 2, but certainly opportunities through the Krulak Institute throughout the 4 years for students.
That's amazing. I think we all need to take a tour at each of your campuses to experience some of those things. All right. So I know you've talked a lot about experiential learning and the resources, but are there specific, are there learning labs or other type of physical facilities on your campus that facilitate learning? We're going to start with Eckerd for this.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I think first and foremost, and this is probably true of most of the campuses, is we do have a lot of laboratories on campus. So while we are a liberal arts school, Eckerd very much is liberal arts and sciences. So we have very strong STEM programs as well. So we have our James Center for Molecular and Life Sciences. We also have our Galbraith Marine Science Center, since marine science is such a big major here at Eckerd as well, and they each have laboratories for classwork and things like that, as well as in addition to those labs are also used for research. We also see St. Petersburg as an extension of the classroom here at Eckerd. So faculty and students are very much encouraged to take the class not only outside of the classroom, but also outside of campus as much as they can. So, as simple as maybe going to a play that's happening in downtown St. Pete, or getting involved in some sort of like the Saturday morning market or something like that. So making sure that the classroom is not the extent of the learning, but also happening outside of the classroom too. We also have a campus farm here at Eckerd, and it's growing every year with the goal of being one of the major suppliers of our cafeteria. So a lot of our biology programs will go to the farm to do things there and work with our campus farmer, Farmer John, as well. So there's a lot of different areas on campus where those things are happening. We also have a waterfront center that's recreational, but also used for academic resources too. So our marine science and environmental studies programs do go down there a lot, take boats out, sample, water for different class experiments, things like that.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Agnes Scott.
Yeah, so in terms of physical spaces on campus, similarly, we have our Science Center. So that is the Bullock Science Center. In the Science Center, we have the Science Center for Women that has different research opportunities. The whole building in itself, each floor is a different subject area that has different labs for that subject. There's also a little greenhouse in there as well. Other spaces on campus, we have academic resource centers. We have the Center for Writing and Speaking. That doesn't have to be for just like English courses. Any subject area can go and get help on papers or public speaking. If they want to do their presentation for a tutor, the tutor will give feedback on that. So those are great places for our students. New this year, we have something called Seesaw. It is a kind of creative space that students can go to create different costumes. They had a bunch of fabric donated. So if students want to sew, if they want to do different like portfolios, it's kind of a imaginative space. And that's brand new this year. So very exciting for our students. You don't have to major and minor in a specific subject area to do that. So anybody can have access.
Great, thank you. Birmingham Southern.
Laurel, I agree with you. We all need to go on tours of each other's campuses. At Birmingham Southern, yes, we have the classroom project space for students to meet in small groups, locations throughout our different academic buildings in the academic quad. We also have our Stevens Science Center. So again, liberal arts and sciences, and lots of lab and classroom space there. Lots of fun different things going on there, research that students are getting involved in and being published in as undergraduates, which is exciting for them and awesome. We also have the Southern Environmental Center here on campus, which is the largest educational facility of its kind here in the state of Alabama. So it's fun when you see the middle school groups come in to check it out, but right here on campus. And we also, as kind of part of that, have we have an ecoscape garden on campus. So kind of works together with the Urban Environmental Studies program here, but certainly not limited to students studying in that program. So definitely opportunities here, spaces for students to continue their learning.
Great, those all sound great. Let's go to Center.
Yeah, so we just renovated one of our academic halls in Olin Hall, so where we expanded classroom spaces, updated some of our labs, and it's the first time in a while that math and science are under the same roof. So a ton of collaborative spaces for professors and students alike. And the paint in the building speaks to those opportunities as well. If you're in a space where there's any blue paint, that's for collaborations, for talking, it's for students to truly dive into their subjects together. If it's white spaces, it's more learning spaces. So professors are leading discussions and students are diving in. So it gets down to the nitty gritty, really, as far as how the building is constructed. And then our other science building in Young Hall, a lot of foreign language can be taught in there, and humanities and social sciences. And there's a ton of fossils in there that are actually donated by local dentists. So it's basically a museum in and of itself. And then our library functions as a classroom learning opportunity as well. There's tons of classrooms in there, and the space in the library, the further you go up, the quieter you're supposed to get. So if you truly need to dive into your books, you go onto the second floor, it's silent up there, and students will actually ask you to leave if you're being wild. So it's an open place for you to truly find your nook and truly dive into your studies. But we also have spaces like the Jones Visual Arts Center, but we also call that the Art Barn. And any sort of visual arts is found in that building. From photography, ceramics, pottery. We also offer glass blowing, which is super unique in and of itself. I think we're one of only two colleges and universities in Kentucky that offers that. So that's super unique if students want to dive into visual arts realm. And then we also have the Norton Center for the Arts, which is our premier performing arts center, anywhere from musicals to instrumental concerts to ensembles to speakers can come into that building. And it's a super unique building in and of itself. It was built by the Frank Lloyd Wright architect team. So fun fact, there are no right angles in that building besides the windows. So it's a super unique building in and of itself, but we bring in Broadway shows. This year alone, we've had Hairspray. We've had Chicago, and I want to say Cats is coming to the campus as well. And students get the majority of those tickets for free. So we truly allow students to dive into all the acts that we have to offer. And we bring speakers on campus for more learning opportunities. We get students off campus for more hands-on opportunities. The geography of Kentucky is super unique, I'd like to think. So there's a ton of research opportunities as far as environmental studies just around campus and around Danville in and of itself. So a ton of opportunities for really dive into what you want to get out of your college experience.
Okay, when we come to participate in all the activities, it's got to include campus tours, extensive campus tours. All right. I want to touch for just a minute on research, because some of you mentioned it before, and I think that students have a tendency to think research means a lab coat and beakers, pouring one into the other and seeing what happens. And so I'd like each of you to talk about some of the research opportunities that you have on your campus, or maybe share one cool thing that students were doing as a result of research. And we'll start with Agnes Scott.
Yeah, so students at Agnes Scott can start research their very first year. They don't have to be an upper class student. There's two types of research that students really do. Mentored research, so teaming up with a professor that they're doing research maybe that the student's interested in, and kind of tag teaming off of that, or creating their own kind of research proposal and getting professors help with that. So very first year, they can start. One unique thing is we have something called Spark, which is our spring annual research conference. That is a day that there are no classes. It's typically in April. All of the students that are doing research throughout the year can propose to present their research that day. So it's a great way to kind of support students and those research endeavors. So students will go to their friends' proposals, which is really awesome to see them supporting them in that academic atmosphere. So that is one thing that students do. Specifically for STEM research, we have this STEM Scholars Program that happens over the summertime. Students will do research at Emory University, specifically down the road from us, and then other universities as well. So students put in a grant proposal for that and get funded through their research ideas.
Thank you. Birmingham Southern.
All right, sorry, I'm slow with the mute button. I knew it was coming next. All right, so definitely same. We have students doing research here through all 4 years. They can get involved from the beginning. They sometimes it's really just as easy as starting a conversation with a faculty member. And so I agree, having been an American Studies major myself, my thought of research was always in the science lab, right? And then you grow and learn that research is actually done in all fields. And one of our students, one of our tour guides, Colin, this summer had the opportunity, he was doing research through the history department here at Birmingham Southern, and went over overseas. He was in UK studying at Cambridge this summer. And I'm like looking at a picture of him at Churchill College on his Instagram for having that opportunity to go for, I think, 2 weeks this summer. So those are kind of some really cool opportunities for students not in the sciences to be doing research. One example here at Birmingham Southern. But of course, all of the research opportunities in the sciences, you come for a campus tour and you walk through the Stevens Science Center with our student tour guides, you will see lining the walls research that students have participated in there. On participating with faculty and, some of it's getting published. So definitely happening here on campus as an undergraduate liberal arts school. Students are getting that opportunity to add to their resume. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Let's go to Center.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned earlier, like you can start a research opportunity as soon as you step foot on our campus. And even before you even start your semester at Center, it truly is just starting a conversation with a professor. So if there's something that you're super interested in, you can spark that conversation and you can start conducting that research. Or if they're doing research that you're super interested in, you can tag on and end up becoming published with them. So it really is starting a conversation. It can be as simple as that. And I think one of my favorite opportunities that's outside the classic science realm, if there's ever an election going on, students have done exit polling at the local polls here. Another opportunity that a professor found himself in, he took a Van Gogh painting, and in the description, it said that he used a pink and lilac paint, but over time it's since turned white. So he was like, I want to learn like what this paint is. So, and like what paint was used. So he was able to take the painting up to a lab in Indianapolis. And once he got there, he actually discovered that the lab was created by a Center grad. And so they were able to take samples from the paint and actually get what the paint that Van Gogh used. So super unique experiences at that. He actually is a professor of chemistry, but he's currently teaching a study abroad semester in Strasbourg, France right now. So even if you do find yourself as a STEM major, you can still have that study abroad opportunity to truly dive into your subjects. And then something that Center does every year is the RICE Symposium. It's an acronym, RICE meaning Research, Internships, and Creative Endeavors. So students will actually have a showcase at the end of the year in the Norton Center lobby, showcasing everything that they've done throughout the year. So I know Amanda mentioned that there's research opportunities that students done in the past along their walls. Center has the same. I'm sure Eckerd and Agnes Scott does as well. So we are very proud of the research that our students do, and we definitely want to give them the space to showcase that as well. So it's a truncated day. The entire campus community can be involved and actually hear about the research and internships and creative endeavors that our students have found themselves in throughout the year.
Thank you very much. And we'll have Eckerd wrap up this question.
Yeah, so we have a lot of similar programs happening at Eckerd. We also have a scholarship program called the First Year Research Associateship. So first year students can get involved in research projects right away. There's a variety of different projects that offered every year. And of course, we have some of the ones that students might typically think of, white lab coats in the lab, that kind of stuff. But we also have projects like our library doing a college history book publishing project. So students can be involved in that. We also had a theater professor doing a research project about a 1960s actress last year. So there's really a variety of different ways to get involved there. Eckerd is also home to the longest running undergraduate dolphin research program here at Eckerd. So that is a really big thing for our marine science students as well. So we really encourage them to, take advantage of those opportunities from day one. First year research isn't the only way to get involved though. So we really encourage students just to talk to their mentor or to their professors and say, hey, I'd like to get involved, and then see what comes of it.
Great, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about what happens after graduation. And can you talk briefly about what type of career services or graduate school guidance each of your schools give to students? And we'll start with Birmingham Southern.
Great. So I think part of the preparation for graduate school really starts from the beginning in working with academic advisors, especially for students who are in the pre-health track, the pre-law track, things like that. So throughout their time, they're making sure they're taking the courses that are required, they're diversifying their resume, doing what's needed there. But come time for graduation, certainly our career services office helps with all of that resume building and interview skills, and bringing companies to campus to interview students, but also preparing students to do that job search on their own, or applying for graduate schools as well. Help there. I think a lot also that doesn't always get mentioned is how many opportunities students get in building their relationships with faculty here. And so our faculty are, they've got connections, and, I'm thinking of our pre-health advisor. She seems to know everybody everywhere. And so if a student knows that they want to go on to medical school, Dr. Buckingham is like, oh, let me make a phone call. Let me send an email. And you're like, oh, okay. She knows like everyone in all 50 states. But I think that those are opportunities that we see in different areas as well, as far as students wanting to go on to some of the professional schools, graduate schools, kind of those connections with professors, not just, where they went to school, but where they have friends and connections. Like Clay said, you go up into a lab and you find out an alum created that lab, right? So there are alumni networks out there that are strong, and I think we also tap into that as well to help prepare our students. So I will stop rambling and let some of my colleagues add.
All right, well, let's go to Center.
Yeah, similar to Amanda and Birmingham Southern. So we do have the Center for Career Professional Development that can help students on their career path journey. Truly, as soon as they step foot on our campus, they can start those conversations about how to build a resume, how to get your LinkedIn together, and getting them prepped for that ultimate goal. And your professors are going to be helpful. Your academic advisor is going to be helpful. Your pre-professional advisor is going to be helpful. Even your peers can be helpful, because you can befriend them, and then you start befriending their parents, and their parents know somebody. So it truly is a whole bunch of networking that happens on liberal arts and sciences colleges. So and when I say people are going to be there for the betterment of you, they're going to be there for the betterment of you. And it truly does. Oh, I'm sorry, I have a phone call, but I'm gonna mute it. Sorry about that. But you truly do get to start those conversations as soon as you want to. And we're finding like an average, like 2/3 of our students are gainfully employed somewhere after they graduate, and then a little bit over a third going to a secondary institution. So within 10 months after graduating from Center. So Center students are doing something after they graduate. It truly does start with a conversation on campus.
Great. Let's go to Eckerd.
Yeah, similar to what everyone else has said, we have a really great career services office on campus, not only for students post-grad, but also if they're looking for a part-time job, an internship opportunity, or on-campus employment while they're here. They also do great things like resume prep, mock interviews, all of that sort of stuff as well. We also have a really strong alumni network for students to get involved. We have an alumni who does an internship program every summer at Harvard Medical School for our students. And, that obviously helps with making connections if they're wanting to stay in that area post-grad. 70% of our graduates are employed or pursuing a secondary degree within 6 months of graduating from Eckerd. And we find that 30% who might not fall into the traditional employed category, a good majority of them are doing something like the Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, that type of thing as well. Eckerd also has a program called Peace Corps Prep. So if you know you are thinking about doing Peace Corps, this is a 4-year program to help you make sure you're taking advantage of things like classwork, like languages, international education, that kind of stuff that would prepare you to going into the Peace Corps one day. And it kind of increases as you go along. So it's a little bit more strenuous as you reach your senior year as well. So that is another opportunity for students to get, employed or make connections post-grad as well.
Okay, thank you. And we'll wrap up this round with Agnes Scott.
Great, thank you. So similarly to Center, about 2/3 of our students go into the workforce and about 1/3 go straight to graduate school after graduation. We also have a career center. So we have the Center for Internship and Career Development that a lot of students will find internships, have, law school or med school prep, or just in general, like GRE prep through, or they help them find jobs as well. So we do have something called Handshake, which is our website that students can find jobs through. Very strong alum support network as well. We have a tradition on campus that's called the sophomore class ring ceremony. So during a student sophomore year, they get this really cool class ring. And we've heard stories about they're in an interview or for an internship or a job, and they see the person across from them is wearing the ring, and they have that instant connection of they're a Scotty sibling. They're part of that siblinghood. So they, don't get the job automatically, but obviously that is a great connection for our students to have as well. So really awesome outcomes, Agnes.
All right, thank you for sharing all of that. How can students learn more about your colleges? Let's start with Center this time.
Yeah, so we're open for visits Monday through Saturday, really. And so if you want to come visit us, you're more than welcome to. And especially if you're super intrigued about Center, you've been hearing about us, you're really itching to come up to campus. We actually have a visit voucher program. So we can reimburse funds for your travels to come see us. So definitely encourage that. And if not, set up an interview with your counselor. We each have our own individual territories, so we're more than welcome to help you on the journey. Everyone in the Center office, we're all Center alums, so we're more than welcome to share our story, our perspective, but also share some students' perspectives as well. We have some senior admission fellows who can help you along their way. They're senior representatives. They've been here for 4 years, so they can share their experiences with you. So our website's super helpful as well, but getting to know the people here is something that's super special in and of itself, and coming up to see us as well.
Great, thank you. Let's go to Eckerd.
Yeah, we really encourage students to take a tour. If you've done any kind of research about Eckerd at all, you'll know that we might not look traditional being on coastal Florida. So we do encourage students to come to campus if at all possible. We have tours 3 times a day, Monday through Friday, and a 10 a.m. tour on Saturdays. We also have a virtual tour, virtual information sessions, and a lot of virtual content if you're not able to make it down to St. Petersburg. And then we'll also have an open house, both a virtual and an in-person one in the spring, and 3 admitted student days for our seniors who have applied and been accepted as well this upcoming spring. Those are called Explore Eckerd College. So highly encourage any students who might be interested to reach out to me or anyone on the admissions page, and we can help you either set up a visit or find the information you're looking for.
Great, thank you. Let's go to Agnes Scott.
Yes, visit. I highly encourage students to visit if they can't get to campus. We also have a virtual tour, but if you can get to campus, we do offer tours at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you're coming out of those hours, we do offer a self-guided tour as well. You can just pick it up on our Welcome Center and walk around campus. We do also offer one-on-one conversations with students, whether that's on the phone, Zoom, or in person. Similarly to Center, we each have our own territory that we work with, so you can find your student or your counselor online and set up an appointment with them or with any of us. Definitely, I encourage the visit though. That is the best way to get to the feel for the college campus.
Great, thank you. And we'll have Birmingham Southern wrap up this round of questions.
Yes, of course, coming to visit. That's the answer. Also, coming to visit when students are here. My favorite is when parents come and they're like, nobody's here. And we're like, well, it's break. It's your break, but it's also our break. And so that's what happens, right? Come on a weekday. We do have some weekend tours as well, but keep in mind those students are not out and about at 9 a.m. on a Saturday. But we have opportunities to visit Monday through Friday, morning and afternoon. Jennifer at our front desk will help you if those times do not work for you. We have a beautiful campus that we want to show off, and we want you to come see us. So that's also, a great opportunity for you to see if you can picture yourself here on our campus. Similarly to some of my colleagues, we do have specific events for admitted students. So we kind of add a little bit more into your campus visit once you've been admitted. And then in the spring, we'll have our next preview day. So for, any of those last minute seniors that still want to come check us out, but anticipating mostly juniors at that. So you can find that information on our website. You can give us a call. We can get you set up. But I think as everyone else said as well, you can go on our website, you can find out who your admission counselor is, and they're happy to talk to you. Not everyone in our office is a BSC alum, but we do have a couple sprinkled through here. So, of course, we always say, our student tour guides are really a super important part of what we do here, because I know you don't want to hear from me as the director, right? I get paid to say this, but a student tour guide, now they're telling you the truth. So come and hear from them and learn what it's like to be a student, and ask all the questions. And also faculty are here to talk to you. You can sit in on a class, you can just make an appointment to meet with them. So we're here to help you learn as much as you can.
Great, thank you. Can you talk a little bit about what you're looking for in your prospective students beyond GPA and test scores? Let's start with Eckerd.
Yeah, I think we touched on this a little bit earlier, but we really do want to get to know you as a person beyond just the numbers. So for us, looking at things like, what have you been involved in high school? What did you write about in your essay? What do your letters of rec have to say about you? Because Eckerd, much like my colleagues here, we have a very engaged campus community. Our students are involved in multiple clubs and organizations, both on and off campus. Some are student athletes, they might have an on-campus job, like we talked about, internship and research opportunities. So we want a student who's going to be curious, going to be engaged, and wants to be involved in our community on campus. So seeing that you've done that in high school is really important. Now, that doesn't mean you need to be involved in 15 different things. If you've got 2 or 3 things you're passionate about and it's clear that you've been committed to that, that's awesome. So that's something we're really looking for. At Eckerd, we like to say our students are barefoot and brainy. So they're a little quirky, but very much academically driven. So that's also, passion for the liberal arts or the academic side is also important too.
All right, thank you very much. Let's go to Agnes Scott.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of that. The whole, holistic review process is looking at every single part of the application. So, of course, we're looking at you've taken rigorous courses in your high school, you're doing well. My personal favorite part of the application is the essay, because I really think that brings out the student's identity, and to getting to know the student is what, we're all about. Getting to know the applicant more than just the numbers, of course. We look specifically for Agnes Scott, we looked at, you've had leadership positions, and especially since we have that summit curriculum, that maybe you're interested or at least open-minded to studying abroad and learning a different language and a different culture, because that is part of our, liberal arts experience.
Great, thank you. Birmingham Southern?
Yes. I think that overall, what we're looking for in our prospective students is to see if you're going to be successful here. And what does that mean? So success in being a part of our community. I think students that are involved have leadership opportunities or looking for leadership opportunities, are students that are going to be successful here, students that are looking to learn. Students that are thinking that they're going to just blend into the background and not participate are not the types of students that are going to be successful here at Birmingham Southern. We've got, so many clubs and activities and so many things happening. And our campus community is thriving. So that is, what we're looking to make sure students are going to fit in here. And so that's what we're looking for in your college application, in that essay, in all of those spaces we leave for you to tell us what else you've done, right? We're not necessarily looking for you to fill all of those spaces, but tell us a little bit about who you are. And that's really it. So the students that want to learn, the students that take initiative, students that are looking to, have that growth mindset is really what we're looking to see here as students that are going to be successful.
Great. Thank you. And finally, Center.
Yeah, so everyone has summed it up very perfectly of what we're looking for in an applicant, but I think the biggest word to take away is a curious student. Students who are involved in their communities, involved with their peers, but also just curious about how this world functions. I think that really makes the liberal arts and sciences college and institution thrive as a place, because students are willing to make that jump and take those risks, but also know that they have a great support system with them along the way. So being there for each other, students who are both academically involved, but also socially involved. And I think that's something that comes along with Center, is someone who can work hard, but also can play hard as well, whether that be in your extracurricular activities, on the field, on the pitch. We like students who have that equal balance, can truly dive into their academics, but also draw back and truly enjoy the environment that they're in. So that's what we're looking for.
Great. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to do one final question here. I'm going to ask each of you just to share one piece of advice about the college admissions or college search process that you would like to share with the students. And we'll start with Agnes Scott.
Yeah, so I guess one big piece of advice that students may not think about is creating their own email address just for colleges. I think so many times students, school email or, their personal email, a lot of information gets lost. And if you create an email just for colleges, and so every time you fill out an inquiry card, every, school you apply to, use that college email address. So all of your college information goes to one place. I think that is a very smart decision. You get a lot of email from colleges. And so having that all in one place is super helpful. So that is the one piece of advice I would give.
Great advice. All right, Birmingham Southern.
My piece of advice is to visit campus. We all mentioned it, but it is so important to get your feet on the ground on campus. You may fall in love with a college based on the pictures in a brochure and get to campus and be like, but where's this place? I can't find it, right? So you want to make sure that you get there, you visit, you ask questions, you look around, right? And I've been hearing lately students are waiting until they've been admitted to go visit, but I'd encourage you to start that visit process earlier. Doesn't hurt to visit. It certainly only helps, whether it's, yes, I was right, this is a potential space for me, or, oh no, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be, right? And so visit, that's my piece of advice.
Also great advice. All right, let's hear from Center.
Yes, I think my one piece of advice would be for students to understand that this is your decision to make. I think it's easy to have outside influences, whether it be your parents or your friends or your peers, but this is a decision for you to make. There is no rush through the admission process. So I know November signing day is a big thing, but there's no rush to this process. You can wait up until May 1st. That date is there for a reason. So truly soak it in. So it's a decision that you're making that you're comfortable with, because it is so easy to have those outside influences. You end up going there and then it just doesn't work out for you. Then you find yourself transferring and all these other conversations. So remember, that's your decision to make. Outside influences can be there, but it's going to be you, the one in the classroom. You're the one having those discussions and you're the one living the experience on campus. So keep that in mind when making the decisions.
Thank you. More great advice. All right, let's go to Eckerd.
Yeah, I mean, I would reiterate everything that everyone else has already said, but also to make sure that they're taking advantage of the relationship with their admission counselor. So we have a wealth of knowledge that we can help you with, whether that's making sure that we're providing you the information that would either keep our institutions, in the running for your selection, or maybe help you, say this isn't the right place for me. We're not scary. We're not mean. We're here to help you. I am more than happy to do phone calls, email, set up a Zoom call with parents too, if that's what's needed. But to kind of reiterate what Clay said as well, you will be the one in the driver's seat. And so when at Eckerd, we send all of the important documents and important emails to the student because you're going to be the one in the classroom. So yes, your parents can be very, very helpful resources and should be involved in this process, but make sure it's you who's, creating that relationship with your admission counselor and advocating for yourself, because that's how it's going to be in college and then even life after college too.
All right, great advice. Panelists, thank you so much. This was fabulous. You shared so much valuable information. Viewers, thank you for watching. Don't forget to visit each of these colleges' virtual booths and base camp so that you can learn more. We encourage you to take advantage of the college panels, the workshops, and the virtual booths. And thank you to all of you.